Now, how did you find about Euronymous murder? Who told you about it?
I saw it on the news.
Oh, on the TV?
Yes, I accidentally just turned on the television and it was on the news that he was dead.
Oh.
And of course I just ran down and called his house.
So did you have? Did you feel that you knew who had done that?
I had my suspicions, and some didn't. So it's kind of it was just a hunch.
Actually, I knew it by some letter. So it was just a week later. I got a letter from someone.
Yeah.
Told me that.
This was very very sad.
Yeah, it was.
Because you had long contact with him.
Yeah, and I often talked to him on the phone. So just 3 days before I talked Euronymous on the phone.
Yeah.
3 days later he was murdered. But I didn't know about that for a week later. You know, there's no internet or anything. So.
Yeah. No. To me, this whole period is very much a blur. I think because it's both a combination of it being so extreme and also because we were young.
Yes. And all that kind of incidents were very well known in Norway. I mean, even the normal people in Norway knew about what was going on.
Oh yes, it was this whole thing with inner circle and all that. The media created that, but of course that was very exciting for people involved. So they kind of adapted it's typical that at a time things are sometimes very coincidental, and I think as all subcultures they are made into romantic stories and made much more important afterwards. I've read some in some books and stuff that this kind of legendary night where all the people from the black metal scene went to the D-side or the intro show. I just remember being slightly drunk and I felt it was a very long way back from the venue to Helvetia. So for us it was a show, and then it's been made because I think Bard came to Oslo and talked to Euronymous about the first person on that show or something like that. I can't remember because that's with me, as I said, I was kind of just a sidekick to sing, and I had this musical focus, so I was never the cool guy. So for me, when reading, I haven't bothered people lots of chaos and everything, and I haven't read it.
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't care. I don't care. The whole history of things and the nostalgia and everything. To me, it's the inspiration, the feeling that is important. And so I've said that recently also. Like, black metal is not a sound or it's not a state to it. It's an attitude. And I think that is. It's not. As this whole black metal thing and how you can hear that in the first Norwegian black metal bands, that they all sound different.
Yes.
Similar in atmosphere and kind of an expression, but they all sound different. Because at the time there were no rules to what
you could do everything.
Yeah, and that is the whole point. And when I'm of course always confronted with this with Emperor and what is true and not true and everything. Basically, I think if I have to put it in that perspective, I think that what I do now is still black metal, because I think the atmosphere is very similar. At least the source of inspiration for me is very similar, and also I do whatever the hell I want. I don't let outside things dictate how I make my music. And I think if I did that and thought, okay, maybe people want really another Emperor record sounding like the early Emperor records, I think if I do that, it would by definition be not black metal, and would almost make everything that I did in the past to a lie. If you know what I mean, if it's going to be true, it has to be totally true. Yes.
Yeah, talking about the later Emperor and today's music, you seem to be influenced by some progressive stuff, or maybe something different from typical heavy metal.
Oh yes, yes.
What about it? Is any other music style like jazz or classical music as well? Do they influence you or?
It can be anything really, because these days I guess it's age. But I like stuff that connect with me, and if it doesn't really help. And even from popular music that maybe not emotionally will connect with me, but maybe a sort of sound, a sound combination will inspire me. And if I take this type of sound into my expression, I can do this. So for me it's different like that, and I'm a huge Radiohead fan. Again, they did OK Computer, super successful, and then as a response to that, they did electronic music like today, but it still sounds like Radiohead. So I think that is the integrity of doing that. Even if you change the sound and you change the instruments, it's the art and the expression is still strong. So it's not, that's why it's not a sound. It's not this type of guitar sound or this type of vocals. It's it's what you underneath of what it makes you feel, which is important. So and I talked to this to young guitar band and what influenced them to have this kind of orchestral sound in the first place. And that was of course because we listened to so many orchestral soundtracks, for the Omen and everything. And I wanted to implement that because as we talked about, the death metal was so one-dimensional, just full volume all the time. Of course, metal production and black metal also with speeds and very powerful. It's very flat and undynamic. But when you can have guitar riffs and then you add the string section or the choir, you at least simulate the dynamics, and then you get these the heavy metal peak, like the falsetto scream. You get that extra cue. So that's I always want to have that as part of that the music builds, and that was kind of my attempt at achieving that.
Do you name some favorite artist or composer in particular?
Oh, of course, it escapes me now. Of course, the Omen soundtrack.
Oh, Jerry Goldsmith.
Yeah, Jerry Goldsmith.
Yes.
The Omen soundtrack for me is kind of a league of its own.
It's a perfect song. It's one of the scariest songs ever.
Absolutely. But also, stuff from the Halloween movies, more electronic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Minimal stuff.
And of later, of course, just the special sounds of spaghetti western. And yes, a lot of experimental stuff there as well. And all along, I've been a huge fan of in relation to my new album, like Diamante Balas.
Oh.
Very, very expressive. To me, that is black metal.
Oh yes.
Yeah, because and that's kind of when I've been doing production work and layering stuff. Sometimes I just had to listen to some old Diamanda just to remind myself what it's about. Because she can do with her voice alone what the rest of us try to do with 200 tracks.
Yeah, she's always evil.
Yes.
Very expressive.
So I saw her live with Playmas in '96. With made a huge impression on me. So and in later years I learned a lot of stuff like Scott Walker, more experimental stuff. And I guess I've always kind of admired those artists who kind of create so spontaneously and without filter, because then they don't control the process so much. But I think I'm more inhibited, and I put limits to what I can express. You become self-aware and you lack the confidence. But sometimes you just have to try and break those barriers to be able to actually express something that is worth listening to.
Okay. So what about your new albums? I think you told me it's quite different from the first 3 albums.
Yeah, the first 4 albums.
No, sorry, 4 albums.
Yeah.
So this is more experimental stuff?
Yes, very much so. And in that spirit of I guess with the for first album I kind of grew the confidence to do something like this. And it's the two last albums, After and Ermita, is kind of where I ended up, musically. And I was very pleased with, that kind of expression. Still very heavy music, 8-string guitars, but also with, other elements like, more free jazz, saxophone playing, more of an experimental effort, really. But still kind of some structures and refrains and powerful. But for the fifth album, I was very deliberately choosing to do something different because I do not, the privilege of being a solo artist and kind of making all the decisions. I do not want to fall into any kind of formula.
Oh yes.
And that's because it's uninspiring, and I think it's important for all of us as artists to kind of push the boundaries of what you, those limitations you put to yourself. So this time I think the main idea was, okay, I want to make something that is, sounds like that, feels like that old ballads, and nothing too skilled, nothing polished, nothing, really too planned, just very convincing and kind of straight from the heart. But with other means, by things that I didn't know, kind of similar to when we did Eclipse. There were no reference points, and we never went to a big studio to record. We just spontaneously tried to perform these songs to tape, to make it sound that big and powerful. So and also as a response to this controlled way of writing music, metal production, doing some of these improvised tracks, one take, spontaneously doing this, hopefully leaving more room for that kind of accidental magic to happen. Because when modern metal production, when you can control all the elements and bits and pieces, it leaves very little room for that magic to happen. That's these days when I record vocals, just for scratch takes, I kind of always rig up the good mic anyways, because sometimes I've tried to recreate something that I did on the demo stages, and it can never really match up. So I might as well just capture it to begin with and rather redo it if I'm not satisfied.
So do you like free jazz too?
Yeah, I haven't been listening to Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong as well, but also I'm so bad with names.
Miles Davis.
Sketches of Spain, kind of great. So I love that stuff as well. But I never really got into any extreme
Like extreme free stuff.
No, it's just these more improvised tracks of the new album is more me trying to with my tools to do what I imagine Ilana Galas would do if she had